These are the things worse than death in Warhammer 40k. Number 6, the Black Rage. Every Space Marine chapter has flaws. The Blood Angels have a genetic time bomb that erases who you are and traps you inside a 10,000-year-old nightmare. Forever. The Blood Angels are a Space Marine chapter, a brotherhood of genetically engineered superhuman warriors. Their Primarch, that's the superhuman who founded the Legion, was Sanguinius. During the Horus Heresy, a galaxy-splitting civil war, Sanguinius confronted the traitor Warmaster Horus aboard his flagship. Horus killed him. The psychic agony of that death hit every Blood Angel through their gene link, temporarily driving the Legion insane. That was 10,000 years ago, and the madness never left the bloodline. Every Blood Angel carries this echo in their gene seed, the genetic material that makes them superhuman. For most, it stays dormant, but stress, combat, or just bad luck can trigger the Black Rage, and when it hits, there's no coming back. The Marine stops being himself. He's physically wrenched 10,000 years into the past and genuinely believes he's Sanguinius fighting aboard the vengeful spirit. His own identity is completely gone. He doesn't recognize his brothers. Every enemy looks like Horus or a demon, a malevolent entity. On the eve of the battle, chaplains, the chapter's warrior priests, study each brother during ritual prayer. Those who collapse into the chaplain's arms are taken away. Their armor gets repainted black and marked with red crosses symbolizing Sanguinius' wounds. The chaplain delivers final benediction or simply blessing. They are considered already dead. These Marines from the Death Company, they fight with terrifying ferocity, wading through gunfire that would drop veterans. But they're not fighting the battle in front of them, they're fighting a battle that ended 10 millennia ago. When the real fighting stops, they collapse from wounds their madness had been holding together. Survivors get executed or locked in a tower on Baal, howling their rage in cells. Brother Corbulo, the chapter's greatest apothecary, that's a Space Marine medic, has spent centuries searching for a cure. He's found nothing. They hoped Primaris Marines, a newer, stronger generation of Space Marine, would be resistant. They're not. The flaw has been getting worse over generations. Only one Marine has ever beaten it. Mephiston fell to the Black Rage during the Second War for Armageddon. Buried under rubble, he fought the madness alone for 7 days and broke free through sheer willpower. Nobody else had managed it. Number 5. Psychneuein infestation. The warp is an alternate dimension running alongside reality, full of psychic energy and hostile entities. If you're a psyker, a human whose mind can touch it, there's a creature out there that can use your brain as a nursery, and it can smell you from 10 light years away. Psychneuein are insectoid warp creatures about 2.5 meters long, vivid yellow and black, transparent wings. Think enormous wasps because the galaxy doesn't have enough nightmares. They exist as warp predators, drawn irresistibly to psychic emanations. The Imperium tried quarantining infested worlds, tried purging swarms. Nothing works permanently because the creatures phase in and out of the warp itself. Females don't implant eggs physically. They project them physically, directly into the victim's mind. Eggs materialize inside the brain, no larger than grains of sand. No initial discomfort, maybe a mild headache, that's the only warning you'll get. There are different strains. The fast one, the Prospera strain, kills within hours. Morning headache, dead by evening. The slow one, the Mara strain, is the real nightmare. You lose intelligence gradually over days or weeks. Your appearance changes. You know something is wrong, but you can't figure out what because the thing eating your brain is also eating the part that would help you figure it out. You're trapped watching yourself disappear from the inside. Eventually, your psychic instability triggers a catastrophic warp event, and multiple Psychneuein erupt from what's left. In all of recorded history, exactly one person has been cured. During the Great Crusade, an archaeologist named Camille Shivani was infested by the Prospera strain. 2,000 Suns captains, Phosas Takar and Hathor Mod, performed psychic surgery and extracted the larvae from her brain. One success. The Prospera strain is now extinct. The 1,000 Suns are gone, and the Mara strain that's still active in the 41st millennium, nobody survived that one. The Mara landing massacre showed how fast things spiral. A navigation error forced a troop transport carrying 5,000 guardsmen, regular human soldiers, onto quarantined Mara. After 5 days, only a few hundred traumatized survivors remained. Most were executed for heresy or driven to suicide by their memories. Number 4. Possessed Marines. What if you invited something into your body for power and realized you couldn't make it leave, and the thing wearing your face doesn't care that you're watching from inside? Possessed Marines are Chaos Space Marines whose bodies host a warped demon. Some invite possession willingly, seeking power. The Wordbearers, a traitor legion that worships the Chaos Gods, dark deities that live in the warp, consider it the ultimate act of religious devotion. Others have it forced on them as punishment or sacrifice. Either way, the demon keeps the Marine's body alive using warp energy while it reshapes the flesh into something unrecognizable. The first possessed were the Gaul Vorbak. During the Horus Heresy, the Word-Bearer's Primarch Lorgar personally led his serrated Sun chapter on a pilgrimage into the Eye of Terror, a massive warp rift, searching for proof that the Chaos Gods were real. Inside the Eye, Captain Angel Tal and his 7th Assault Company underwent a demonic ritual. Most were slaughtered. The survivors were possessed. They endured a 7-month subjective journey back through the warp, forced to cannibalize the crew and kill each other for blood. In real space, only moments had passed, less than half returned. The physical transformation is dramatic. Argel Tar's armor melded into his own skin, legs morphed into hooves, wings burst from his back, but here's the part that makes this worse than death. Argel Tar were still in there. The demon realm took control during battle, but Argel Tal watched from inside his own body. After combat, Ram retreated, leaving Argel Tal in control again, feeling used and drained. He knew they were on the road to damnation, couldn't stop. The world leaders have their own version called the Eightbound. Marines get chained into iron sarcophagi where probes interface with a butcher's nails. That's brain implants that punish calm and reward violence. The probes thrust the Marine's mind into the warp to fight demons directly. Losers explode or become chaos spawn, mindless mutant blobs of flesh. Winners become hosts to 8 demons simultaneously, each fighting for control. And the final cost? When a possessed Marine dies, his soul becomes a plaything of the demon. They traded their eternal soul for temporal power. Many know it, none can undo it. Number 3. Hellbrute entombment. Imagine being sealed inside a walking tank. Now imagine the tank is alive. It hates you, and it's slowly eating your body while driving you insane. For 10,000 years. A Hellbrute is a chaos war machine, a walking sarcophagus preserving a mortally wounded space marine inside a combat walker. The Imperium has its own version called a Dreadnought, where entombed marines sleep in stasis between battles. Chaos warbands lost that technology millennia ago. Without stasis and constantly bathed in warp energy, the sarcophagi mutated into something parasitic. The shell feeds on the occupants' agony, driving them insane while fusing their flesh with a metal hull. The Thousand Suns, a traitor space marine legion devoted to sorcery, have the most documented method. The Marine undergoes trials designed to ritually bind his soul to the Hellbrute's systems. Then he flensed, his body reduced, with warp flame to a burnt mass of organs, bones, and nerve fibers. Still conscious, still fully aware. This creature gets placed into an amniotic sac and inserted into the shell, which immediately activates. The occupant's flesh melds with the metal until the entire chassis is a fusion of demonic steel and writhing tissue. Between battles, the sarcophagus gets disconnected and dragged into darkness. The Hellbrute lies inert and seething. For Thousand Suns variants, the amniotic sac is hung in halls where demons constantly try to reach the occupant, deliberately intensifying the madness. Before battle, heavy weapons are loaded, fists daubed in fresh blood, and the sarcophagus reinstalled. Once unleashed, the Hellbrute attacks everything in its path, including allies. Warsmith Borosis of the Iron Warriors was entombed after his own Primarchs Perturabo beat him nearly to death for bringing bad news. He spent millennia raging inside his shell until Hansu ripped open his sarcophagus and crushed what remained of his head. The word-bearer Sor Talgron protested against entombment, and his faith partially preserved his sanity, but he often believed he was still at the Siege of Terra, crying orders for a war master who won 10,000 years ago. No stasis, no sleep cycles, just a creeping insanity mingled with desperation and fury, eating away over the long millennia. Only death ends it. Number 2. Drukhari Haemonculus Covens. Most horrors of the 41st millennium have an endpoint. This one doesn't, because the Drukhari figured out how to make death itself temporary. The Drukhari are an alien race living in Komorra, a city hidden in the webway, a network of tunnels between dimensions. After the fall of their civilization birthed the chaos god Slaanesh, Slaanesh constantly drains their souls. The only way to slow that drain is by feeding on the suffering of others. The homunculi are the masters of this, ancient flesh sculptors who operate from labyrinthine, dungeon strongholds beneath the city. They've perfected the art of keeping victims alive and suffering indefinitely, and they can resurrect the dead to torture them again. Imperial forces once found a human hanging from the ceiling in pieces, brain here, heart there, lungs somewhere else. The human was still alive. Homunculi can multiply and rewire nerve endings to amplify every sensation beyond human capacity. Regeneration technology keeps victims alive through procedures that should kill instantly. Death isn't an escape because they won't allow it. More than one captured general has died only to wake up in the torture chambers beneath the Dark City. Then there are grotesques. Nobody joins willingly. The victim gets pumped full of growth elixirs and muscle stimulants until their form swells grotesquely. Bone growth is driven into hyperactivity, producing external spines. Then the victim is usually lobotomized, though some are left dimly aware, the better to understand the full horror of what has happened to them. Their face is sealed behind a mask of black iron. The Drukhari once converted an entire Tau diplomatic delegation, the Tau being a young alien empire, into grotesques and deployed them alongside Tau allies against Tyranids, a galaxy-devouring alien swarm. The Tau only realized what had happened when drone footage showed the grotesques had blue-gray skin. Even fellow homunculi feared these fates. One pushed into a mirror dimension the size of a coffin too small for his frame. Another was posed an impossible riddle that turned more of his body into bone with one each wrong answer, until he was nothing but an osseous statue. Another was rendered into a sentient soup using acids from captured Tyranids and then drunk by his peers at a banquet. The system has operated for over 10,000 years. It won't stop because it's how Drukhari civilization survives. Number 1. The Enslaver Plague. Most fates in the 41st millennium happen to individuals. This one nearly killed the entire galaxy, and your body becomes the door it walks through. Enslavers are warp-born entities that psychically dominate living beings and then transform psyker hosts into living warp portals, literal doorways of ruptured flesh through which more enslavers pour into real space. About 60 million years ago, the Enslaver Plague did exactly that on a galactic scale. It destroyed the Old Ones, an ancient species that had ruled for millions of years. It was so catastrophic that the Necrons, ancient skeletal machine beings, decided the galaxy was too dangerous to stay awake in, and went to sleep for 60 million years rather than deal with it. And here's how it works. Enslavers psychically dominate a victim and create a parasitic mental bond. The victim is initially unaware, no outward signs. The enslaver steers the host subtly while remaining hidden. Then, over 50 to 75 hours, the body starts changing. Lethargy, discolored skin, swelling. The host's body tissue disintegrates and reforms into a living gate of ruptured, pulsing flesh. The person ceases to exist. Their body becomes a pulsating archway between dimensions. Once an enslaver emerges, it immediately enslaves more psychers, including protected ones like astropaths, psychic messengers the Imperium uses for long-range communication, turning them into additional gateways. Non-psychers become drooling mind slaves who follow any command. The expansion is geometric. One psyker becomes a gate, more enslavers come through. Each enslaves another psyker. More gates, more enslavers, more gates. The only recourse is exterminatus, the total destruction of the planet's surface. Just one unsanctioned psyker caused the destruction of Hive Scorpios. Within 3 days, the entire hive was reduced to drooling mind slaves. Within 3 weeks, an entire continent was at war, all because the governor thought his family should be exempt from the psyker call. Mind-slaved victims will do anything their enslavers command. Walk into gunfire, cross minefields, kill their own families. Enslavers can even dominate Tyranids and demons. The Imperium keeps their existence a closely guarded secret. Inquisitor Felroth Gelt, one of the Imperium's top secret agents, put it simply. These things present a peril beyond imagining and must be crushed at all costs wherever sighted. The enslavers already ended one galactic civilization. They're still out there, and every unsanctioned psyker is a potential doorway. Well, that's the list. 6 fates that make dying sound like a vacation. Thanks for watching, and remember, in the grim darkness of the far future, death isn't the worst thing that can happen to you. Not even close.